Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
Good evening. It's Monday, May 17th. Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. It's been a source of confusion and controversy, and tonight we are getting more clarification on just when and where to wear a mask. Vaccinated Californians will need to wait another 4 weeks until they can unmask indoors, despite CDC guidance saying it's safe. KPBS health reporter Matt Hoffman says the announcement is aimed at businesses and to incentivize people to get vaccinated.
California Department of Public Health officials are not ready for residents to unmask indoors just yet.
People just want to believe that this doesn't exist anymore. That's not true.
Dr. Christian Ramers is an infectious disease specialist at Family Health Centers of San Diego. He spoke to us from a highly contagious environment today where he's treating COVID-positive patients and wearing a face mask for protection.
Look, I have 4 people in my clinic right now who are sick and coughing. I don't know if you can hear them from COVID. So there's still people getting sick. There's been no change to the way the virus. There's still people dying. You know, we're still at 600 deaths per day.
Raymer says he thinks the CDC had good intentions saying last week that fully vaccinated people can unmask indoors and out, basically hitting home that the vaccines work very well and incentivizing their use. But he noticed the confusion it resulted in, and he's glad to see the state clarifying that in California, those vaccinated and unvaccinated are still required to wear masks indoors, which includes public transportation and schools.
I hope that it decreases a little bit of the confusion. I think people are getting pretty irritated with things going one way and going the other way.
State officials are targeting June 15th when nearly all COVID-19 restrictions will be lifted for those who are vaccinated to go maskless. They're hoping the next 4 weeks will be plenty of time for anyone who has not been vaccinated to get their shots.
We have to have a critical amount of our population to be vaccinated so that we can all be safe and so that those who can't get vaccinated are protected.
Dr. Francesca Torriani is an infectious disease specialist at UC San Diego Health who thinks it's wise that the state is not getting rid of the mask mandate for indoor settings right away, especially now that we know how much easier COVID-19 spreads indoors versus outdoors.
If there isn't ventilation, basically you don't dilute those germs, and so those germs can stay in the air for long periods of time.
And health experts agree that there's no doubt face coverings help curb the spread of COVID-19.
The mask serves as a barrier.
As of Monday, the county's vaccination tracker shows 1.3 million residents over 12 years old fully vaccinated. That's about 2/3 of the way to herd immunity. Counties can choose to be more restrictive, like keeping the current mask mandate past June 15th, but a San Diego County spokesperson says there is no intention of doing that and officials will follow the state guidance. Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
And a quick reminder, if you want to set up a vaccination appointment for yourself or for an eligible family member, you can find a location close to you by going to kpbs.org and just clicking on the vaccines link on the homepage. It's happened again. A boatload of people discovered off a local beach, but this time the end result much different than the last. KPBS reporter Melissa May has more on the third maritime smuggling operation in less than a month.
The Border Patrol says at around 3 a.m., one of their agents spotted a Ponga-style boat off the coast of Point Loma near Sunset Cliffs. They called in the Coast Guard to intercept the vehicle, but the boat operator ignored the Coast Guard's request to stop and
unfortunately got caught up in the shoreline and in the kelp.
More agencies were called in to assist, including the San Diego Lifeguards and the San Diego Harbor Police.
Luckily, everybody was able to safely get out. This location is very close to where just a couple weeks ago we had the maritime event that ended, unfortunately, in 3 deaths.
Border Patrol agent Shane Crotty says no one was hurt on this boat.
There were 23 individuals on board, 20 Mexican nationals and 3 Guatemalan nationals. The United States Border Patrol took custody of the individuals after the Coast Guard brought them ashore. they will be taken to a nearby Border Patrol station to be processed accordingly.
Since October, over 150 maritime smuggling events have occurred along the San Diego coast.
Due to the increase in the infrastructure here in San Diego sector specifically, it has caused the smuggling organizations to attempt more dangerous smuggling attempts.
Crotty says many times participants do not know the dangers of these operations.
We're seeing boats that are ill-equipped, not large enough to support the amount of people that are on board, no navigation lights. A lot of times we're seeing boats that lack safety gear such as flotation device.
The Border Patrol is currently testing new technologies to reduce these smuggling events.
We'll utilize our mobile surveillance systems, and we'll work closely with our state and local partners to continue to combat this threat.
The operator of the vehicle has not been identified, and the destination of the boat is still unknown. Melissa May, KPBS News.
Capacity will be limited at the Rock Church services next Sunday after 15 employees tested positive for COVID-19. A church spokesperson says the employees worked at 5 locations and are currently quarantined at home. 3 tested positive last week, then were identified through contact tracing. The church says all mainly worked behind the stage, so the risk is minimal to people who attended services last week.
They're not our at-the-door greeters. They're not the ones mixing and mingling with our attendees at this point. Most likely, unless they were backstage in a staff meeting, they have nothing to worry about.
In-person Sunday services will be limited to the Point Loma and Microsite locations on May 23rd. None of the employees who tested positive were vaccinated. The church says they've talked with their staff about the vaccinations, but it was not a requirement. It's your money, and tonight San Diegans will weigh in on how the city will spend it. A special hearing is happening tonight on San Diego Mayor Todd Gloria's spending plan. It starts at 6. The public comment period is part of the formal budget process. It's still a remote process, and the hearing will be streamed live on the city's website. A proposed cut to library hours and an increase in police spending have emerged as points of contention. The San Diego County Board of Supervisors this week will discuss a plan to impose fees on new developments based on how much additional car travel they create. KPBS Metro reporter Andrew Bowen has more on why that's controversial.
The point of the program is to incentivize growth in urban areas. For example, if a new apartment building is in an area close to jobs and public transit, the fees would be lower or non-existent. But if it's in a rural or car-dependent suburban area, the fees would be higher. Supervisor Joel Anderson says that would make new housing in his East County district prohibitively expensive.
We believe that people of color, we believe poor people, all should have an opportunity at home ownership. It's the American dream, and yet this policy, if mishandled, will deny that dream to all these people.
Environmental groups largely support the plan, saying it's necessary to prevent sprawl and lower greenhouse gas emissions, most of which come from cars and trucks.
What we want is our housing development to align with our transportation objectives and with our climate goals. And for that, we need to build smart.
Revenue from the fees would go toward pedestrian, bicycle, and public transit infrastructure. The supervisors will take up the proposal on Wednesday, though they're likely months away from a final vote on the plan's finer details. Andrew Bowen, KPBS News.
The median price of a single-family home climbed even higher in the county, and it's now just over $825,000, up from $25,000 in just a month. A year ago, the median prices was $671,000. That's $671,000. Statewide, the average price is close to $814,000. Experts say rising fuel and consumer prices and a shortage of homes is making it even harder to buy these days. Today's officially tax day, delayed 1 month because of the pandemic, and some good news from 39 million families who are set to receive monthly payments for each child.
I'm announcing today that on July 15th and the 15th of every month thereafter throughout the year, you will get deposited in your bank account half of your tax cut, at least $250 per child each month, a direct deposit into your account.
Parents will get $300 a month for each child under the age of 6 and $250 per month for each child over the age of 6. Nearly 88% of families will receive the benefits without taking any additional action. The money will be coming out of the $1.9 trillion coronavirus rescue package and will last through December. The White House says President Biden expressed support for a ceasefire during a call to Israel's prime minister today. The call came as the week-long escalation in violence across Israel and Palestine led to the deadliest day since on Sunday. As Isabel Rosales reports, negotiations between the two sides have stalled, with civilians caught in the crossfire.
Amid targeted Israeli airstrikes on Gaza and a barrage of rocket fire from Hamas toward Israel, Palestinian and Israeli civilians caught in the middle. The mounting civilian death toll is raising alarms in Washington. Some progressive Democrats and foreign allies are calling on President Joe Biden to increase the pressure on Israel and call for an immediate ceasefire. The president spoke to the Israeli prime minister and the president of the Palestinian Authority over the weekend, and Monday said he'd be speaking with Benjamin Netanyahu again. But so far, Biden has resisted calling for a ceasefire himself, aside from this passing reference on Sunday.
And my administration is going to continue to engage Palestinians and Israelis and other regional partners to work towards sustained calm.
The administration hopeful negotiations will yield a truce.
We've been working intensively behind the scenes to try to bring an end to the conflict.
But those talks, led by Egypt and Qatar, have stalled over two major issues, according to a senior Hamas leader with knowledge of the mediation efforts. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu also indicating it will take some time for the fighting to cease.
We'll do whatever it takes to restore order. I hope it won't take long, but it's not immediate.
The White House says its focus is on finding a lasting resolution.
We all know that the only way to bring an end to violence, to bring an end to this escalation of violence, is for there to be a two-state solution over time.
In Washington, Isabel Rosales, KPBS News.
Today, the Supreme Court agreed to take up a major abortion case in its next term. It could present a direct challenge to Roe v. Wade, the 1973 landmark Supreme Court decision legalizing abortion nationwide. The case concerns a controversial 2018 Mississippi law that banned most abortions after 15 weeks. The law makes exceptions only for medical emergencies or cases in which there is a severe fetal abnormality. A federal judge struck down the law and an appeals court upheld the judge's ruling. Now that one group of female Marines has graduated boot camp in San Diego, the Corps is still under a congressional deadline to end gender segregation. KPBS military reporter Steve Walsh says the female recruits are moving faster than their leaders.
19-year-old Emily Zamudia of Madera, California is part of the first female platoon to graduate Marine boot camp in San Diego. The female platoon had the top scores in physical fitness and combat fitness over the 5 male platoons in their company.
Just one step closer just to becoming a better Marine, a better leader. This is just step one.
Female Marines call themselves the fewer, the prouder. And even fewer of them are in the infantry.
And I love challenges, and finding out that infantry is even a bigger challenge, I was like, give it to me, I want it.
Zamudio says the women felt accepted by their fellow male recruits in San Diego. She will soon be headed to an even more male-dominated environment. All the more reason, she says, to integrate Marines before they graduate out of boot camp.
I think getting us exposed as much as possible with each other would be beneficial, which is another reason why I think putting females in San Diego is a good start as well, because the males that train here on the West Coast don't have any exposures to working with females.
In 2020, Congresswoman Jackie Spear of California put a provision in the defense bill requiring the Marines to integrate East Coast boot camp at Parris Island, South Carolina by 2025 and integrate San Diego by 2028.
I think that the new younger generation gets it. They have no problem with it. It's the baby boomers that are still stuck in this mindset that is, frankly, 50 to 75 years old.
Spear says that means ending the separate female platoons the way the other services did years ago.
Execute! Legal, legal!
The Marines continue to push back. Their leaders talk about having a secret sauce for building Marines. Traditions built up over time. Traditions that have also kept women from overseeing platoons of male recruits.
I've always wanted to be a drill instructor. Since before I joined the Marine Corps, I wanted to be a drill instructor.
Sergeant Nakia Kaufman was told she would never be a drill instructor in all-male San Diego. Then last fall, the Corps decided to experiment with having a platoon of women train on the West Coast. Kaufman and 2 other women were quickly sent to drill instructor school. Their only option before the women arrived was to oversee a male platoon.
This is all normal to me. Like I've attended sports, or I was a part of sports all my life, track and basketball, and that was men and women. No different, sir. I'm one of 9, and I have 5 brothers, so it's nothing new to me, sir. I didn't treat them any differently, and they didn't treat me any differently.
I think, from my perspective, the biggest lesson we learned is it can absolutely be done, right?
Colonel Matthew Palma is in charge of training in San Diego. He made only minor adjustments for this first class of women. The standards are the same as they would be for the men. Still, the Marines are drawing the line at ending gender segregation entirely.
There's something about our indoctrination process that is unique to us, and I do think that it's the value of that squad bay, keeping it the way it is going to be our position.
Keeping the squad bay the way it is means female-only platoons, and despite the success of this recent class, female recruits are again on hold in San Diego. The law still says the Marine Corps must fully integrate by 2028, but senior drill instructor Amber Starosik doesn't want to wait that long.
And so you see people that don't want to break away from tradition, but this isn't breaking away from tradition. It's just it's introducing something to the tradition. It's allowing us to be part of that, which ultimately could have been done a long time ago. We're just now doing it.
The Marines have asked the University of Pittsburgh to study how to integrate boot camp. The Marines hired the same university to study whether to allow women in combat before the Defense Secretary ordered the Marines in 2015 to fall in line with the other services. Steve Walsh, KPBS News.
San Diego-based climate researchers say the climate on land was colder than thought during the last ice age. KPBS environment reporter Eric Anderson has details.
Scripps Institution of Oceanography researchers analyzed ancient groundwater in order to determine accurate temperatures from the past. Lead author Alan Seltzer says radioactive carbon dating confirmed the age of the water.
A huge amount of the land surface of the planet, something like a third of the land surface of the planet, contains ancient water that fell down as rain or entered the subsurface through river runoff during the last ice age.
Researchers studied water from around the world, including ancient water under Balboa Park. They measured dissolved noble gases as a way to determine land temperatures during the last ice age. The findings reinforce the accuracy of similar studies of ocean temperatures. Scripps researcher Jeffrey Severinghouse says that increases confidence in current climate prediction models.
The most important thing it tells us is that the models are actually on the right track, and that we can believe the models more than we used to be able to believe them.
Those models predict how the climate will change as the amount of carbon in the air goes up. The findings are published in the current edition of the journal Nature. Eric Anderson, KPBS News.
A wildfire burning near Santa Monica is being treated as a case of arson. One person was arrested over the weekend. The Palisades fire is still burning in the Topanga Canyon area. It's about 1,300 acres. Firefighters say improved weather allowed them to bring in more aircraft today. They expect it will take a few more days to get the fire under control. Work is happening to shore up the fragile bluffs along Del Mar's coast. Sandag is in the process of building a support beam and other improvements. This is part of an ongoing repair project after a portion of the bluffs collapsed in February. Work will continue through the summer. This is near the important rail line used by Amtrak, the coaster, and other trains.
We're once again going to be warming up here in the southwest over the next couple of days before yet another cooling trend. As we head into next weekend, do expect some gusty winds to be picking up also as we do start to cool things down later this week heading into this weekend. For tonight, temperatures dropping off into the low 60s. A couple of low-hanging clouds, but nothing major out there for us to worry about. Temperatures dropping off into the upper 50s in Oceanside. Same thing as Escondido. El Cajon dropping off to 60 degrees for that overnight low tonight. A little bit milder, though, out into the higher terrain where temperatures are still going to remain in the 60s in some spots. Futurecast showing again that thick marine layer could bring some fog early in the morning and some low-hanging cloud cover to start off your day on Tuesday, but no rain showers in the forecast for you. Temperatures are going to be warming up nicely as we head into your Tuesday. We're going to be nice and warm here again, possibly a little bit cooler near the coast, but the interior sections are going to be warming up nicely out there for your Tuesday. So upper 60s to low 70s from Oceanside down into San Diego. A little bit warmer further inland. Ramona getting up into the mid 70s as we head into tomorrow, and then the heat continues up into Borrego Springs. We're going to be in the upper 90s again as we head into your Tuesday. You'll start to see that cooler push of air by the time we get to Wednesday, but it's really going to take until probably Thursday and Friday to get further south. Near the coast, temperatures fall off from the upper 60s to low 70s back down to the upper 60s to the end of the work week. You'll notice a little bit of a more dramatic change further inland from the mid to upper 70s for your Tuesday and Wednesday down into the upper 60s by the time we get to the end of the work week on Friday, but still plenty of sunshine in the forecast for you. In the mountains, we go from the mid to upper 60s into the upper 40s by the time we get to Friday. So that's going to be another big time cool down, and also a dramatic change in the desert where we go from the upper 90s on your Tuesday into the low 80s by the time we get to Friday. For KPBS News, I'm meteorologist Jessica Pash.
Stories of racist experiences in the Poway Unified School District made an Instagram account go viral last June. The account was called by Black in PUSD and was created by sisters Nene and Ekne Okolo. It got thousands of anonymous responses from students, from faculty, staff, and parents who detailed experiences of racism at Poway schools. And over the weekend, the sisters were recognized as local peacemaker honorees by the National Conflict Resolution Center.
We were honestly really shocked when we received the award. We were not expecting it at all. And the intentions of this page was not really to kind of put ourselves on a pedestal or like really lead this movement. We were doing it for the people and to really amplify voices of those who haven't been heard for so long.
The stories on the page prompted Poway Unified to make some changes, including the addition of ethnic studies and literature courses. The district also hired 13 new staff, including Black teachers. The pandemic has been rough on everyone, especially some children. And when it comes to their mental health, it may be hard for parents to understand what's normal, what needs attention, and what to do if there's a problem. Mandy Gaither spoke to a therapist to dispel 5 mental health myths.
From virtual learning to being separated from friends and family, the pandemic has been rough on many children.
We all have mental health, and it affects how we think, how we feel, and how we behave.
Jody Baumstein with Children's Healthcare of Atlanta's Strong for Life program says the first myth about mental health is that it's a mental illness.
Just like with our physical health, our mental health changes all the time, and we all have it, and we need to do things proactively and regularly to take care of our mental health.
Baumstein says it's also not true that kids can't have mental health challenges. She says teach children about feelings, that it's normal to have them, and help them to label those feelings so they know how to express themselves. Finally, help them learn to manage or cope with those feelings. Another myth, bad parenting is the cause of those challenges.
We really want to shift the conversation away from placing blame on the child or the parent and instead redirect to getting proper assessment and treatment.
Baumstein says it's another myth that doctors are quick to diagnose a problem and medicate. It's always a parent's choice to accept a medication recommendation or not. And finally, she says it's a myth that talking about mental health puts ideas into a child's mind.
There's no research to support this. And in fact, having open and honest conversations about this stuff is much more likely to help a child feel safe.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
There is a new Miss Universe, and she's from Mexico. Andrea Mesa beat out 74 other women to take the crown. She's a model and a makeup artist and has a degree in software engineering. She's also an activist and works with the Municipal Institute for Women, which aims to end gender-based violence. Miss Brazil was runner-up.
I'm Amna Nawaz. Tonight on the NewsHour, Israeli forces continue to hammer Gaza with heavy airstrikes as Hamas fires rockets into Israel. That's coming up at 7 right after Evening Edition on KPBS.
And here's another look at today's top stories. California won't lift its mask requirement until June 15th to give people and businesses time to prepare and ensure cases stay low. That was the announcement from the state health director today. San Diego County will follow the state's lead and wait to implement the CDC's guidance that people fully vaccinated against COVID-19 no longer need to wear face coverings in most situations. And multiple agencies worked together to stop a Punga boat near Sunset Cliffs early this morning. The Border Patrol says it's the third maritime smuggling operation in less than a month. 23 people were on board, including 20 from Mexico and 3 from Guatemala. And you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Have a great evening.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley. And by the following: and by viewers like you. Thank you.